Good evening, guys. I hope you're all well. Welcome to Sniper Sundays. It is Sunday, the 1st of March. New month, new week ahead. Looking forward to it and looking forward to having a busy month. We know that February was very busy, but very, very unpredictable. A very hard month to trade. Seeing market conditions that we haven't seen for decades. Stock market crashing the most it has since 2008, over 10 years, obviously 12 years ago. I'm sure that we're all aware of the volatility we've seen in the market. Mentioned this on Friday, but as I said, seeing pairs like what's in front of us here, Euro USD, moving, swinging 100 pips in either direction within the same day. We haven't seen movement like that in a long, long time. As the volatility is great, it's what we want to see, but at the same time, it's very, very risky if you don't know what you're doing. So last week was very, very risky, very, very volatile. So sometimes you just have to understand there's a time when to be clever and not trade in the market and just take a step back and just take a look at the bigger picture. Friday was a very, very risky day to trade, and I hope that you all take this on board in the future. Obviously, we had problems with the coronavirus and the way that the market was being affected. We saw that with big sell-offs on gold and pound pairs and so on. But you have to understand that it was a Friday afternoon. And also the fact that it was month end. There was a lot of factors that were playing into it being very, very risky on Friday. And Friday's price action is, yes, you can get lucky if you take a trade. You can get lucky if it goes in your direction. But as we saw in Euro USD, for instance, if you took a short and then a few minutes later or an hour later, that short trade was being completely reversed as price went all the way back up to the upside by 100 pips. So it's very, very risky, as I said. So it's best just to let that Friday go, start a new month off fresh. We have the trading log, we have the trading plan as well in the community, so you can all take full effect of this. And we start March raring to go. So lots to look at today. But I'm basically going to just go over. It's obviously still a lot of pairs. It's 20 or 15 plus pairs. But these pairs we're really going to be homing in on and concentrating this week because I do see a lot of positions, a lot of possible trades coming. So I'm more or less run over this on Friday, but I want to just run over things in a little bit more detail today as well. So something I want to look at first, obviously we always know trading plan. We have to think about risk management first. So we know that's another reason, guys. I think hopefully now that you can understand that we didn't take a trade on Friday, it was a good idea not to take it because as I said on Friday evening, part of the trading plan is what? Risk management. First point is always risk management. To take a trade on Friday and to leave that trade open over the weekend with the current situation, fundamentals, economic situation around the world, given the way things are affecting gold, oil, and all currencies all around the world, we currently know that at any minute we can get a notification that the coronavirus has got worse in any country throughout the world, which can take an effect and a domino effect on any currency. So here we can see, if we just go to latest news, at the moment you can see here, Italy's coronavirus cases jumped more than 500 to 1,694. That's treble the amount. Italy is one of the biggest countries in Europe. Euro was on a mad bullish run last week, but in theory, there was nothing really with the problems that are happening in Europe. Italy's got a very bad situation with the coronavirus. It's one of the biggest parts of Europe, obviously after Germany. I could see that this run on Euro and so on was going to hit a resistance and pull back fairly soon. And I think we're going to see a pullback on the Euro pairs next week. On market open, we could see very, very big gaps. This is why I don't want to take a trade on Friday. I wanted to stay flat and out of the market. Don't want people starting a week on the 1st of March, basically having their accounts hit big with big gaps. We know that the market doesn't respect stop losses at times like this. If you had, for instance, let's just say, for instance, bought Euro USD on Friday and went long from, say, this level here, if the market opened and you got a stop loss here, if the market opens and the market opens down here, your stop loss isn't going to matter. You're going to get taken out, and a broker, you're going to have to make up the difference because that's what happens when the market gaps like that. So it just wasn't worth the risk. There could be big gaps on market open. So that's why one of the key reasons we stayed away on Friday, always managing the risk. So as I said, we got this problem with Italy at the moment. Over the weekend, there's been various news coming out regarding the coronavirus in different countries. It's getting worse in the UK, everywhere else. So we don't know how the market's going to react. We don't know how it's going to open. But I can tell you what I can see from the charts and what we can expect. So let's get started. So one thing I want to highlight to you guys, and I want you to make a note of this moving forward, because it's going to be detrimental to what we're looking at the moment. You can see for the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, or however long it was, I constantly said that we were going to find a bottom here on Euro USD. Well, we did take a long, get stopped out for -1%. Then we took a long trade and unfortunately just closed it at break even before it exploded to the upside due to the choppiness on a Monday morning. Out of nowhere, the momentum came and bang came into the market. But see how we found that bottom just like I explained. And we're having a big move up to the upside. At the moment, nice move up. This is the key level that for Euro USD over the next coming weeks. On the weekly chart, can you think why this is a key level? Because on the weekly chart, this is the last lower high. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. If we broke above this, then that means that what I'm thinking is longer term. If we can break above this, then we'll pull back down. But we can see this continue to the upside for maybe not that high, but we can see it continuing to the upside, and this being a strong bull trend. But what I do see first is we've had a big move in the market, a big move on Friday, even at the end of the day, as we had a pullback as expected back down to 1.0950, and now we're taking back off to the upside, bringing in buyers just before the market closed. Looked like we were going to surpass the previous high, but we didn't quite get there. We'll just clear this up a little bit. What I can expect is the coronavirus situation in Euro is getting worse. So I do expect now for the Euro, after last week's big bullish push, to have that retracement that I'm expecting. So I think we can pull back. I do think that we found the bottom, unless things get really bad in the Euro area. I still do believe that this is going to be the bottom for quite some time. So what I'm going to be expecting is for Euro USD to pull back even further, come back down to sort of these levels. Come back to levels where these long traders are going to get worried and possibly take out their positions. But if I was in long from here, I would take a good portion, at least 50% of profit, and then I'd be looking to add again once we come back down to these levels. But it could be a short entry on. We could be riding this back down this week for intraday sort of trades. However, we could extend slightly up further. It all depends on how the week begins from the market open. But I can see from here, you can see just on this inner daily trend low, low, lower high, low, low, lower high, lower low, that this level is going to come into play as well, as you can see here. 1 point, let's just round it off, because with the figures, we know round significant levels, 1.1100. So we could just slightly extend, but I do see this pulling back down, possibly from market open. I see this pulling back down and creating a new low where we'll be looking for taking longer term. But I said I do think that we could possibly even look at an intraday short. But at the moment, it looks dangerous. But given the news and how the market opens, it could be a very nice trade to run that back down to that 61.8% on the daily. So I do think that we're going to see a pullback on Euro pairs this week. Big push last week. People getting greedy. So now that's when things can start to change in the market. People don't get greedy when there's fear, like down here there was fear. People didn't know when this was going to stop, when on this downtrend. That's when you need to get greedy. That's when we're looking at taking our trades. We're just very unlucky to get stopped out. But where there's fear in the market is where you should get greedy. And when people are getting greedy, that's when you should fear. So we can see here, Euro USD, people getting greedy now. It just is not stopping. People are going to jump in late on the moving train, and then what we can see soon is we can expect this to come bang and come down and push to the downside. So I am looking at this pushing back down. We'll see if there's an entry down, but longer term, still holding the bias that this is going up higher longer term. Even though that nice Fibonacci, you can see how the Fibonacci extension is lining up nicely there with that resistance. So yeah, so long term, that's what we'll be looking for. Now, I'll just say something I want you to note down is, I kind of just veered off that slightly. You see when I said about the Euro pairs or the Euro USD finding a low. Notice that I said that the euro pairs were going to find that bullishness. I explained that we're going to looking at it across various pairs. It wasn't just euro USD. I said the euro was pushing down, pushing down. Like the week before last, I said euro is on our sights. Euro is what's going to be in our focus, and that euro was going to find a big bullish push. Go back to the previous Sniper Sundays and you'll see it. You can see here euro GBP, euro AUD, big push. Euro NZD, euro JPY, not so much because of Japanese yen, but you can see there are 4 pairs. So you can see there, we're always looking at a various amount of pairs within one currency. So we don't just look at one euro pair, we look at 3 or 4. Now the reason why am I saying this? The reason why is that when pairs move, they move in bunches. If the euro is strong, you're not going to just see euro USD move higher, and you're not going to and then see all of euro GBP stay lower, euro AUD go lower, euro NZD go lower, euro JPY. If the euro is going to be strong, it's going to affect various pairs. Now the reason I'm saying that is because we're looking at Aussie dollar now. Aussie dollar, like I've been saying for quite some time, is we're gonna be seeing a similar situation. We're going to see the bulls step in here for Aussie dollar soon. So not only is it just going to be Aussie dollar, we're going to be looking at Aussie dollar CAD, Aussie dollar Japanese yen. Might not quite currently be there just yet, but that's why I'm showing you this. And then we're also going to be looking at New Zealand dollar pairs. Now the reason why I'm telling you that pairs move in bunches is because when we're looking at taking a long trade on euro USD, sometimes the other pairs might not be ready yet. Remember, technicals always need to play out. So when we're looking at euro USD, if euro USD is just around this level, not even down, around this level, and it looks like taking a long trade, we need to look at other euro pairs, because we need to see, are these other pairs ready for that long trade? Are they technically ready to be taking a trade on? So what you need to do is, that's why you can't just concentrate on just one pair. So if you think that euro USD is going to go up, you need to do your analysis on 2 or 3 other euro pairs. And then, for instance, I just want to give an example. If you think euro USD is ready to take a long, and then you go to a pair like euro AUD, this is just an example, and you see that price has pulled back down to say between the 50 and 61.8% retracement. So if you can just imagine price pushed up like this and price pushed down, and it was sort of in between 50 and 60, we know that price is more than likely going to come down and tap that 61.8%. So that means that this pair is not ready to turn around just yet. And then you can check that on other euro pairs. So that means there could be one more push to the downside, which means that there could be one more push to the downside on all euro pairs. So that's why then you want to go back to euro USD and say, okay, actually from here, I think that there could be another push down, because I can see that there's an opportunity for other pairs to still push down. There's a little bit of room to the downside before it takes that, before it's ready to have a reversal. So again, why am I saying this? Is because when we're looking at other pairs this week, guys, sometimes, like what I've been saying about Aussie dollar, US dollar, it looks like it's ready to turn around. What we have to do is also analyze the other pairs. Aussie dollar, US dollar, I think, US dollar, I think is ready to turn, and this is going to be the bottom. But we also have to take our time and just analyze the other pairs, like Aussie dollar CAD, which I also think is ready. But Aussie dollar Japanese yen, I don't think might not be ready yet, because of the Japanese yen situation, which is obviously being affected by gold and the coronavirus. So even though we found the low here, we could come down a little bit lower. We could extend this low slightly. So we need to have a look at reasons why. Where could this possibly extend lower? Let's just say, for instance, a Fibonacci. We can see it's completed it here at the moment, so possibly it has. But what we have to understand is, I'm going to get to these pairs in a minute, that there could be more downside. We have to look at these pairs, see that it's quite bearish on the weekly. We know about the coronavirus situation, so we have to think, okay, well, we have to just see how the market opens, and we want to watch all Aussie dollar pairs to see if they're ready to, if Aussie dollar Japanese yen is ready, because if that's not ready, then maybe it's not time to buy Aussie dollar Japanese yen. And so they all move in herds, these pairs. So you can see over the coming week, once we see Aussie dollar bulls step in, it's a matter of when, not if. And we're going to see that all of these step in together. But you'll see now that I've said that, you just need to monitor all of the pairs to see. New Zealand dollar, I think possibly has a bit more room to the downside, which I'll come to in a minute. So we know that Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar also move in tandem. So possibly we might just have to be a bit more patient with Aussie dollar until New Zealand dollar manages to push down that little bit lower that it might need. So we'll get to that in a minute, but I hope you understand that and take that on board. So Euro US dollar, as I said, I explained, I do think we're going to see a bit of a pull down. Euro is open to weakening at any point because of the coronavirus situation. And also, we had some good data from Euro last week, but on a bigger picture, Euro isn't that strong at the moment. So it is suspect to the bears stepping in at any moment. Euro GBP as well, big push last week, coming up to this very important level here. You can see resistance. Then we go over here, resistance, support. This is very strong. So I also see that this could possibly pull back. We saw a bit of a pullback on the pound. However, the pound news could coronavirus could get worse over on market open, so we'll have to have a look. But quite choppy on pound at the end of the last week. Big drop before market close, and then a bit of a recovery. So I do think we can see this pull back down, possibly back 100 pips back down to 0.8500. But definitely at an area where we're finding resistance. So giving us another sign that, yes, okay, Euro pairs might be ready to now pull down. Euro AUD, I'm hoping that the market doesn't jump on market open and it gives us our chance to enter these trades, because we've been watching these very close. You know that Euro AUD and Euro NZD are on my watch list to look at taking short trades. Big push. So now we know that we're expecting, from what I just said, that we're expecting a pull back on Euro, not just with the news, but with such a push like that, we have to expect a pullback. We have to expect a higher low even before going higher high. But I do think that this is the top. So not only do we have the Euro, the fact that we're expecting a pullback on the Euro, we also have the fact that we're expecting the bullishness on Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar to step in. So Euro AUD, I think this is coming down in the coming weeks. You can quote me on that. I do think that this is going to be a very strong top. Weekly, daily, 4 hour. I think this is going to be a strong area to take a short from. I think it's going to be a big swing trade. So we're going to be watching extensively on the lower time frames for this. However, hopefully we don't see something silly happening with the market open and a huge gap to the downside, not giving us our entry that we're patiently waiting for. Obviously, if it happens, we can obviously expect it to pull back down, but we can expect to pull back up. There's always a second chance, so we never worry. And if it does pull back down, we will wait for the retracement higher, because we know then that only helps confirm what we're believing anyway. So here we can see weekly, we've taken out the previous high low, high low, etc. We come up here, this is last high low, come out, taking out the previous high. Now we made a higher high. What do we need to do now? We need to make a higher low. So we just zoom out of here quickly on the weekly chart. What can we expect? For instance, just quite simple market structure, longer term vision. We can see here we've got this sort of rising sort of wedge formation. Let's just say even from here, let's just take it across. You can see here, we can expect a big short trade all the way down. So this is 1.6200, for instance. We're around about the 16900, 1.700. So that's a good 800 pips downside momentum that we could possibly get. That's the sort of trade that I'm looking at on this. 4 hour, we're starting to see signs of slowing down. I do expect some weakness instead of market open, but we are watching here very carefully. I'm going to put this as red because this is high alert. Basically, I'm looking for Euro AUD, so we're going to be watching out for this on the lower time frames. We're going to be looking out for sell opportunities. You see here, left shoulder, head, right shoulder possibly forming, tweezer top at the top. Little signs on the low time frame. Could possibly be turning point here. We're going to keep a close eye on this. Let me just do that here. So we're going to be watching this carefully on market open. Euro NZD, similar situation. However, I think that the New Zealand dollar has a little bit more room to push before we move. I know that Euro NZD and Euro AUD move in tandem. Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar move in tandem. Usually we could be, but with the coronavirus at the moment, it doesn't always mean that that's going to happen. It could be slightly different. But given that, I do expect that Euro NZD could push up a little bit higher. We need to be wary of that and understand that Euro AUD could still have a little nudge to the upside. But Euro NZD here, what we can see is, you can see quite simply 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, broke out to the downside, fake out, trendline strategy, pushed back up to the upside, broke out this inner counter trend line, and now where are we at? We're on this big, large, weekly triangle formation. What happens on triangle formations? Just similar to what we saw here. We can likely see a fake out like this. So if I just clone that to put that to the top, we can likely see something similar to come up here. I'll just leave that on for the future so you can, when we look back, we can remember. So I'm expecting possibly a nudge up higher into this level. Why into this level? Because you can see here, resistance, 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 big weekly resistance. I think if we come up into this level, reject here, then we're seeing downside on Euro NZD as well. And again, this is what I mean. I'm looking at this pushing down all the way down to these regions. Maybe one we're going to be holding for quite some time and coming back down into these regions. If we break that, we could even go lower. So that's what I'm watching out for. Euro JPY was the different on the Euro pairs last week because the Japanese yen was stronger. So this push down, we're looking at this 120 level here, possible inverse head and shoulders, but we waited and waited, and you can see here, let me just put that back. You can see here, typical of the market last week. Beautiful setup on the daily, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, put a bit of a morning star formation, bullish day, pulled back, bang, came back down. Up, choppy, choppy, choppy. So we stayed away from that, but at the moment you can see that we're now out reaching that third touch of the trend line, which is quite interesting. We might see more downside on Euro in next week, like I said, and if we do see some more downside, more strength from Japanese yen, we could see this push down. However, I have a feeling we might see a pullback on the Japanese yen, which I'm going to get to shortly. GBP USD, big push down out of nowhere. FTSE 100 dropped 100. Dropped to its biggest since, as I said, 2008. Big drop down on Friday. It's not a coincidence that these things happen out of the blue on a Friday afternoon. But yeah, we can see here, as I said, this has been very, very choppy for a long time, like sort of ranging in between here. But on the bigger picture, we can see that we're slowly making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, just quietly making these lower lows, lower highs, and we're making a lower low. Quite a tough one here to see where this is going to go next. We have had this really nice rejection from weekly support 1.2750. What I can see here is I did think that I was always calling shorts of GBP USD. We were unlucky last week because we were here, and on that GBP JPY trade, I was also looking at short trade. But I just wanted to see that nudge up to the upside first to fulfill this third touch of this trend line. And we know that the market is like a magnet to these trend lines. So we see now that we haven't actually been able to fulfill that, and we pushed down. And I've always said that we could even come down to 1.2250. However, with this rejection on the 4 hour, I do think we can have a little bounce on the 4 hour, and we can get a little momentum behind us. I think we could come back up to this 1.300 level. That would mean coming back up and having that third touch of that trend line, and that third touch of that trend line could then send us to deep south, whereas 1.250. And then after that is when I see pound going back up to the upside. We are in a strong weekly uptrend here at the moment. Let's not forget, let's look at the bigger picture. We are in a strong weekly uptrend. So at the moment, we're having a weekly retracement. You think we're bearish, but on the bigger picture, weekly is bullish at the moment. So we've just come down, we just tapped this 50% level. We've actually rejected off it quite sharply last week as well. So I do think we could come down even down to the 61.50, but we may need to have a bit more liquidation and another little push to the upside. So I'll be watching out for that situation. GBP JPY, similar situation. I was always looking for a longer term short, but we did look like we could possibly come up a little bit higher last week, but we then rolled over to the downside. And Japanese yen obviously pushing down big time on these pairs. Now this also has found some support at 13750. Let's make that let's see the pinpoint to the monthly levels. So I do think that this could possibly now have a retracement back up, come back up to 140 at least. But we have broken these sort of levels through here. Let's make that a bit more neat. We've broken through these levels, so we could have a nice pullback and to act as resistance. We've fulfilled this level here on the Fibonacci, so it could be enough time to have a retracement, possibly roll back down to the downside. We could see the Japanese yen pushed down early in the week. I'm expecting the Japanese yen to possibly now just have a little bit of a breather and pull back on some of these Japanese yen pairs, but we shall see. We shall see. GBP AUD, as you know, along with Euro AUD and Euro NZD, obviously the same sort of kettle of fish with the Aussie dollar situation and the New Zealand dollar. But we're watching out for the pound to see what the pound's going to do. Can the pound have another little bit of a push to the upside? Weekly here, we can see that we're making a double top. If I just take this away, you can see a weekly double top here. Weekly doji candle, but I want to see a little bit more. I'd like to see another little bit of a rejection from around here first. Price can move wild, especially GBP AUD. We do have some round significant levels just above. You can see here we've tapped 1.9800. 2.000 is not far away, which is something that I just want to bear in mind and keep an eye out for. So I want to see how the market opens. We are a daily double top here, sorry, weekly double top. Just want to see a little bit more from this just yet. Don't want to jump in this too early. Again, want to see how the market opens. You can see you've got this little inner trend line. We're still making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and higher lows. So we could still have a little nudge to the upside. So watching this, but likewise, this is one of my favorites for next week. GBP AUD and Euro AUD. They're my favorites. Then coming in quite closely after that is Euro NZD. But as I said, I think the NZD can have a nudge higher. And so I also think the same situation with GBP NZD. A little bit messy here, let me just show you why. We had these levels on Friday last week. So what we can see here is, let me just clear this up a little bit, clear this one. So we can see here, I'll leave it on for the moment. You see here, came back, double bottom here, broke back up above this sort of level. Over here, we broke up above this level, used it as support, couldn't hold, and then we broke through, but held this level as support. Then we broke up, sort of made a double top here, higher high. However, so you have to understand this close above the 4 hour, even though it's sustained for too long, it has confirmed the higher high from here. So now we're coming down and making a higher low. So here now, anywhere from between here, this level, anywhere above this level, this is still technically in a bull trend. So we're going to watch this. We're going to watch this carefully and see how this acts when it comes down to here. But market open, which will be interesting to see. We could see this again, as I said, have a little nudge to the upside. If the New Zealand dollar weakens a little bit, we can see this have a nudge up. If the pound gets a bit stronger, we can see this come up. So we want to see this come up to sort of this level, see how it reacts. If it holds as resistance, then we could possibly look at taking a short trade. So we're in a very, very interesting area. If I just highlight the whole area, so you can see it's more or less becoming a little bit of a range. And these range tools that I use are very, very good to use. But once you establish a high like this, and it comes down and makes a low, you can use this tool to highlight it, and it just visually shows you exactly what's going on by a quick glance. You can see here we just tapped above, bit of manipulation, because a lot of people are taking a long trade there, retail traders. But as I said, it has confirmed the higher high from here. So you can see high, high, higher low, high, high, higher low. But so now we're coming down and could be making a higher low here. So we want to be watching out for sort of around these regions. Anywhere from here, we could see a bounce back up from this support. You can see here we've got two support levels, this support and trendline support. So we can see a bounce back up to the upside. So we're watching out for that. But longer term, we're definitely looking for a short trade coming here. And as I said, once that drops, once this goes, it's going to go big. USD CAD hit that level that I was talking about all of last week. Typical market action, coming up above the highs. Big strong bullish candle here, bringing in even more buyers. So we had the break of the trend line, big bullish day. Then on the third day, we found that shooting star resistance. When people get greedy, start looking that things not going to stop, we're going to hit the moon. Then all of a sudden we have a big pullback down. Now we're looking for Aussie dollar to gain some strength. If Aussie dollar is going to gain some strength, then we can see USD CAD potentially have a reversal from here. However, let's drop down to the daily chart. If I just get rid of this for a minute, go back to the daily. We can see here that price, if we drop down to the 4 hour, it's come back down to this sort of support level. So we've had an extended push up to the upside, and we're having a sharp pullback down. However, this does not confirm we're ready to look at taking a trade just yet. What we want to do is I expect this to have a little bounce back up to the upside, and from around these regions, we're going to be watching this carefully next week for USD CAD. We're going to be watching for a bit of a retracement from sort of these levels, and then if we can find that resistance, I think this is going to go down. So like we might find a bit of another little push on USD CAD up higher, and then we could possibly see Aussie dollar US dollar have another little nudge to the downside. If these areas hold as support, then we're going to see this push back up to the upside, like I've been saying for quite some time. So Aussie dollar US dollar weekly, you can see here clean cut, 0.6500 weekly pin bar supporting off that weekly support. Daily pin bar, that's what we want to see at the bottom of a trend. You can see any bottom of a trend, you can see a big spike to the downside. See a spike here, spikes here, spikes here. Big push. Final push on Friday, possibly flushed out the market, and we could see. Hopefully, we don't see it too soon because like straight off from market open, because we want to be able to get into the trade. But there's always going to be a second chance. But we're going to be watching this from market open. It's very important to keep a close eye on this straight away. Aussie dollar, you can see here. So we had this pin bar, big 4-hour pin bar, big push up, along with Friday's price action. Obviously, nothing's for certain, but we can. I'm fairly sure that it may not be here, but we may have a push down. But from these levels, coming soon is going to be a big push from Aussie dollar. So as I said, it's not a matter of if, it's just when. So we're going to be watching this very closely here. We're back above 0.6500 on the 4-hour. 1 hour, you can see here we're sort of creating an inverse head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, coming here, retesting 0.6500. You can see this level here, quite interesting. So we're watching that on market open. I think Aussie dollar CAD is a similar one. Canadian dollar is getting a lot weaker because of the oil situation. So we could see Aussie dollar push up from here. Big push, flush out, take out the previous lows here on the daily. Let's have a look at the weekly. You can see we've cleared this level. We need to come back. Technically, we have to come back and sort of retest this resistance at 88, 0.8837. So I'm expecting a push back up from there, 100 pip move back up to here at least. Back above there, then I expect to retest the support, and then I expect to take back off to the upside. Aussie dollar, Japanese yen. So these pairs, the Japanese yen pairs, are the ones that are my least favorite because of the situation with the coronavirus and gold and everything that can affect it. We can see here this was quite bearish on a weekly and daily candle. So there could be an extended push down here. You may see a little push back down to the downside. We can see here we've hit the trend line there, the sort of counter trend line. So we may find some support. 4-hour, we can see that we're having some rejection. But we have had a big sell-off. So I just want to see how this reacts on market open. But we could see a little bit more of a melt to the downside before seeing a bigger push. So just keeping an eye on these pairs. Weekly though, you can see here, look at these levels on the weekly. Look at that rejection previously. It just shows you how strong the weekly levels are, and we've now taken out that previous level. So if we want to have a big bullish move, we want to take out the previous lows. Now look at the previous lows we've taken out. This previous weekly and this weekly. Look at that rejection that we had on this weekly. So zooming out, you can see here there's not much else to support us. So we're going to be watching this early next week or this week, and we're going to be watching for a reversal to the upside as well. NZD USD, similar situation as Aussie dollar really. So quickly to cover these because it's quite similar to what I've been saying last week. This area of support, we can see here that we've got this previous weekly candle, we've just taken it out here. I think we could possibly play around here a little bit more. Weekly, daily nice pin bar. But I just want to see a little bit more development because this has been one hell of a push down on New Zealand dollar, US dollar. And like I always say, prices are just going to touch a level and then just springboard away. It never happens. What we're going to see is price possibly consolidate. We'll go look at the fundamentals for next week. I think we've got some NZD and Aussie dollar news about midweek next week, so we could consolidate early in the week if we don't have a big jump on market open. So I do think we could possibly push a little bit lower, anywhere into sort of these regions, and then from here we're going to be looking at that springboard on New Zealand dollars to push up higher. NZD CAD as well, and we can see here I've just zoomed right out on the weekly chart. I mean, if we can hold here, then we could see a massive move on the NZD CAD. And why is that? Because we can see here the head and shoulders formation, and it's on a weekly time scale. So remember, the higher the time frame, the stronger the pattern, or or the candlesticks, or the pattern. So you can see here, doji candle weekly showing indecision. If we can find support here, we can see a big push. However, I have highlighted this level here for a reason, because there is a still possibility that price might want to just continue down and dip into this zone, this liquidity zone, to try and dip into this level, and then before we move back up to the upside. So I'm watching out for that. And similar with NZD JPY, you can see here dipped into that level. However, NZD JPY, if I just put it to the bottom of that previous low on a weekly, on a daily chart, I think that we could still dip down into this region and possibly even come down to maybe say 0.6500 round significant levels before a push. So this is what I mean. We need to see that. You can see here there's more downside possible for NZD JPY. So that means that you're not really ready to buy Aussie dollar Japanese yen just yet. Or if NZD JPY isn't ready to reverse to the upside, it means that there could be some more downside for NZD CAD and NZD USD. So we have to analyze all of the same currency pairs against different currency pairs, do it against 2 or 3, and then it gives you a happy medium of what you can expect for that pair to be doing next. Gold, we're very interested end of the day on gold, as I'm sure we're all aware. Gold dropped down, big drop on Friday from 1643 down to a low of 1563. So not far off. Well, it's been a massive jump there. So not far off coming down to the previous higher lows here. Not far off 1550. So I've highlighted this. This is quite interesting. So I'm highlighting this. I do think that it's crazy to think that gold is going to go down just yet. Because of the situation is only getting worse. Safe haven, money should be driving into gold. So these push downs, these corrections could prove beautiful entries to look at taking a long trade back up, possibly even to new highs. We never know what's going with the current market situation. So what can we see here technically? We can see here higher low, 1550 level, very strong. We could be coming back down to make a higher low here. However, we've just broken through this trend line, big spike, shows that we could be rejecting. So we highlighted that breakout candle, and we'll drop down to the 4-hour, and we'll see how we manage with that breakout candle. And if we continue to trade above it and can't break below, then it could be a beautiful sign to take a nice trade from these levels back up and ride it back up. However, yeah, I'll drop down. So here 4-hour, you can see really nice pin bar. End of the market on Friday though, so I won't pay too much attention or get too excited. But here 30-minute, you can also see on the 30-minute chart, you're getting this sort of left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So yeah, we're going to be watching out for gold. But I do think, obviously, longer term, the current world situation, that there is still more upside for gold just yet. And then the final one really is oil. Oil has had a massive dump last week. Oil obviously affecting the Canadian dollar, so we saw a weak Canadian dollar last week. And we're not far off this a crucial level on the weekly chart here. You can see here on the weekly chart, we've had this weekly breakout candle, which we're going to highlight and watch and monitor, just like we are with gold. But we do have this downside potential to come down to around this $42 region. We're currently at $45, which is a bit away, but this is easily achievable with oil, could be done in a day. However, oil is very volatile, and we have broken this $50 region quite clean and quite without even coming back and really looking for a retest. So there is a possibility. We're going to be monitoring this breakout candle on oil. At the moment, just like gold, I still think that longer term it's going to go lower at the moment. But we could be looking at a nice little retracement, and a retracement on this could be very profitable for us. So you can see here we're going to monitor this and see if we can break out of this level. But there is a good possibility that we could see on the 4-hour. I think the 4-hour and daily are showing that there could be a bit of a bounce back up here. Could be a bounce back up to the upside. We could see a bounce back up to around the $50 region, or even retest the back of this weekly trend line that we've just broken out of, as you can see here. So we could see a little bit of a retracement there, which would be nice to catch a good couple of hundred pips in there. So we'll watch out for that, and that's quite interesting. So yeah, we're going to be watching this very, very closely on market open as well. And the last thing then is the dollar index, of course. Dollar index dropping off massively last week. Daily bearish candle, evening star formation. Looks like it's going to have more downside, but obviously everything has to trend. So let's not get too excited and just think sell, sell, sell from here. Because if you sell from here, what's price going to do? It's just going to push back up for a little retracement before it makes the next move down. So I am expecting US dollar to maybe start off with a little bit of strength next week. Maybe have a little drop initially on market open, but I think we might see a little bit of recovery on the US dollar, and we could see this push back up. Recovery on the US dollar, we'd also see pairs like Euro USD have that retracement back down as well. So I'm going to be watching out for that quite carefully and see how the US dollar acts on market open. But at the moment, it does look like it's going to keep going more to the downside. I've been calling US dollar shorts for a long, long time, which is why we're looking at Euro USD longs, Aussie dollar longs. But so next week might just be the point where we have a little bit of a pullback, a bit of a retracement. You can imagine here on the daily chart, obviously we know price can't just keep dropping through the floor continuously. At some point it has to have a retracement. Price has to trend. So if we just put on a retracement here, we can possibly see price come back up, retest this trend line, 38, 50% retracement level, and then from it then that could be the big wave of short selling on the US dollar, which could be, for instance, you see a pullback on Euro USD, but then the second wave could be the wave that takes us up higher. So interesting, that's what we'll be watching out for. The news fundamentally is quite quiet. We've got some news on Monday, China and US dollar, not too much. Tuesday, Aussie dollar news is going to be interesting. We've got the RBA rate statement, very, very interesting for Aussie dollar. This could see a change in direction. Normally, to see a change in direction, we need the fundamentals to give us a boost. So Aussie dollar, we'll be watching that on Tuesday. Wednesday, Aussie dollar again, US dollar news and some Canadian dollar news as well. Oh, and obviously, let me get to this in a minute. We've got Aussie dollar news as well. Again on Thursday, OPEC meeting, massive for oil. So oil is going to be in our sights on Thursday, and possibly before, as people may try and price it in. And then we've got pound news on Thursday afternoon. Lots of news coming out here on Thursday, Friday, and Friday is the big one. Aussie dollar retail sales for Aussie dollar, big news. And then we got the non-farm payroll, of course, from the US, the biggest data release of the month, first Friday of the month, every Friday, first Friday of the month that comes out. And we also got the Canadian dollar employment and unemployment rate. So could be fireworks this week, guys. So big weeks to get started off in March. Looking forward to it very, very much. February is over and done with now. Very bad market conditions. Hopefully we can just now. Obviously, with the market conditions for February wasn't expected. The volatility we haven't had in the market for a long time. Now we understand the volatility is there. We can now capitalize on it as well. So it's we understand how the market's moving, and it hasn't just been hit with these big moves out of nowhere. So we can expect, we know what to expect a bit more. We need just to manage our risk. Rule number one, as always. And yeah, let's have a great March. So I'll speak to you soon, guys. I will update on market open. Excuse me. I'll update on market open, dependent on, and we'll see what the market does. Hopefully, there's no nasty surprises and no market gaps. And yeah, I will update you on any movements then, and we'll get this week going. Have a great evening, guys. I'll speak to you soon.